Save My Piggies, Your Life, Your Limb, Your Story, with host Dr. John Phillips and Kim McNicholas.
I'd like to open up the forum to Marcia, who has been with our organization for now, I think, more than a year. And she is one of the most inspiring in our group, constantly out there pushing herself to walk, walk, walk. Marcia, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So I want to start from the beginning with you and your experience with PAD and talk about, from the very first moment that you started experiencing symptoms that you didn't know at the time were related to something called peripheral artery disease or poor circulation. So bring us back to that moment and what you were feeling and what you were thinking.
Well, during COVID, a girlfriend and we started going on little hikes. And when I say little, I want to emphasize that because I didn't get very far. And I couldn't figure out, we just go a little ways and I was in pain. And so we went every Friday. We called it Hiking Friday. And I was trying to get in with a new doctor at that time, but with COVID, it was very difficult. Everything was shut down and people were sick. And so I wasn't able to get into a doctor for a long time. And of course, I just took it easy because it hurt to walk. I continued smoking my cigarettes. I was doing videos during COVID, cooking videos with butter and cream and all the
something we all enjoy, right?
Right. Well, because I didn't know better. Anyway, eventually in April of 22, was it 22? Yeah, it was just last year. I finally got in with my doctor, who was brand new. She's a great doctor, African-American woman. And so I just love her. And I told her that my leg hurt. And I said, but it doesn't hurt all the time. It was typical claudication, which I didn't know. And she says, it sounds like you have PAD. And I'm like, what's PAD? So I started Googling and I found you. Of course, I think I'm going to have an amputation. And that was the beginning of my journey. Found a great doctor, thanks to you, about an hour and 20 minutes away. And I knew smoking and diet and exercise were the three things I should, improve on. And those are the three things that I was doing horribly at. So, and now I quit smoking. I eat healthy. My cholesterol's great. My triglycerides are great. And still having problems walking, even with intervention, because I scar. I'm a scarer. So that's kind of where I am today, but it's been an eye-opening and educational.
I'm curious, what was the time frame between, you first experiencing symptoms and when you were finally able to get the appointment for diagnosis? And do you think that if it wasn't COVID and if you could have gotten in sooner, that maybe you might have been able to act 6 months sooner and prevent any sort of intervention at all with a walking program, diet, and smoking cessation just that much before?
Well, only God knows what the difference would be. But it was
a loaded question.
Yeah, it was probably, well, it was in 2020, summer of 2020. So it was probably June. And it was 2 full years before diagnosis. So, and after diagnosis, I started immediately. Once I knew what it was, I was like, I like my leg. I paint my toenails, I get pedicures, I take care of it, I thought, from the outside, but I wasn't taking care of it on the inside. So I started immediately. I would think 2 years maybe would have made a difference, but I don't have a crystal ball, so I don't know. But I started immediately, and then the smoking, of course, that was a challenge. I found out in April that I had PAD and began the testing, the ABI test and Doppler ultrasounds. And I quit smoking in May. So it took a
for
little
you.
while, you know, you have to wrap your head around everything, but I did.
And what was your secret to smoking cessation? I know we're going to be addressing this a little later in the conference as well with many, and you may want to chime in at that point. But since you're sharing your full story right now, what was, I know it's a struggle for smoking
Uh-huh.
cessation. One, what was the struggle for you in quitting? And two, how did you persevere?
Oh, you know, it was the most difficult thing I'd ever done. I, you know, like everybody who reaches a certain age, you know, you have struggles in life and ups and downs and problems with kids and losing parents. And through it all, cigarettes were my best friend. You know, they were my comfort. You get upset, have a cigarette, you know, get more upset, have another one and a donut. So I loved my cigarettes. I loved them. And they killed my mother. And that was one, you know, on top of having the diagnosis, that was a strong factor for me. But I knew I had to do it. And for me, I prayed and prayed and prayed about it, you know, that please take this desire from me. And I don't know that the desire really went away because I really like cigarettes, but I gave them up. So you know, there isn't a secret. It's hard, but you have to do it. You have to make a choice. My life, my legs, or my cigarettes. And that was a no-brainer. And now looking back, it's the best thing I've ever done. I mean, I'm free. Now it was like a ball and chain and I didn't know it. Everything I did revolved around where can I have a cigarette? How can I have a cigarette? I'll have 2 cigarettes before I get there. Oh, okay, I'm going to leave now because I want a cigarette. I don't have any of that anymore. It's freedom. So please, I implore anybody out there who's smoking to give it your best shot. It's worth it.
Wow, that's amazing. And you know, we talk about the ARC Act with requiring Medicare and other private group insurance to offer testing and be assertive about offering testing, you know, such as with colon cancer or with breast cancer, right? If you have high risk factors, would you have, knowing that you were, I think you mentioned you were a little overweight, you also were a smoker, would you have actually gone in sooner, even without symptoms, to get tested?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, I get my mammograms, I get my colonoscopies. You know, I go to the doctor regularly. I was just in between doctors. And truthfully, I don't think my other doctor would have known what it was because many primary doctors do not know what PAD is. I was really, really lucky to have found this fabulous doctor who knew instantly. But yes, I certainly would have done testing. I certainly would have. And I was pretty lucky with finding a great doctor, thanks to you, in Cincinnati, Ohio. And he got me in right away. He started testing right away. I didn't have problems with my insurance. And so, you know, I was on the road. My journey began.
Good for you. Thank you so much for sharing your story.